Hi Titans, my name's Annie, and today I'll be talking about Draft Zero, which is a concept I introduced. So before I start my talk, let me just start with a quick poll. Raise your hand if you've ever stared at a blank page, waiting for the perfect first sentence or the perfect layout to just magically appear in your head. Thank you, hands down. As students, we're constantly being taught to turn in perfectly polished work. But the problem is that we've applied this same exact pressure to the very first step of thinking. If you're anything like me, you've probably spent more time planning out your to-do list and the items on it than actually executing the list. We fall into this aesthetic trap where everything we produce has to look like art. But let me tell you this, some of my best ideas didn't happen in a beautiful notebook, but rather they happened when I was scribbling on a whiteboard with a bright red expo marker and erasing with the back of my hand because my brain was moving too quickly. And that gets me to my point. We fail to brainstorm because we try to make our ideas perfect even before we make them real. That's how simple it is. We've turned brainstorming into a photo shoot when it needs to stay a storm. And so today, I'm actually here to encourage you to start getting your hands messy. Okay, to do this, I've split it up into two parts. So first, I'll be talking about the science of off, showing you that your internal creator and your internal editor cannot both be in control at the same time. Then, I'll introduce you to Draft Zero, providing 3 actionable strategies that you can use to trick your brain into silencing that editor. So let's start with the science. We think we're being good students when we take good care of that blank page. But science actually shows this is a form of neurological sabotage. Consider this interesting study done by Dr. Charles Lim, where he placed freestyle rappers and jazz musicians inside an fMRI machine to see what would happen to their brains when they improvise. He had each musician play back 2 lines of memorized music and then had them make up something completely on the spot. And so what he found is that when these people shift into a creative flow, a part of their brain called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, that's this large bluish-green region up here, actually deactivates. And at the same time, their medial prefrontal cortex, which is the area thought to be responsible for self-expression, actually lights up. That's this reddish-orange region down here. And so these names are a little bit too abstract to comprehend easily, so I like to think of it in terms of a car. Your brain is the car, and you have 2 completely different people fighting for control of the wheel, the creator and the editor. Let's meet our creator. The creator is your medial prefrontal cortex. Again, that's that region responsible for self-expression. The creator likes to drive fast, to explore new roads, and frankly doesn't care if the car gets messy at all. On the other hand, the editor is your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. That's that large bluish-green region that was deactivated. The editor is the one who is obsessed with the speed limit, who always follows the GPS, and makes sure there isn't a single smudge on the windshield. Now, when you sit down to brainstorm, you want your creator to take the wheel. But at the same time, the editor is also screaming from the backseat about your spelling mistakes, your font choice, and how you missed that Oxford comma 2 sentences ago. The creator is so overwhelmed by this screaming that it can't concentrate and promptly shuts down. Why do we let the editor do this? The answer is actually psychological. Many of us have this fear that everyone is watching us, and so if our work looks messy, it means we're a mess too. But that's not true. Our brains have a neurological bandwidth. Generating new ideas and checking for errors are 2 of the heaviest tasks your brain can do, and it can't do them at the same time. So when your editor is screaming at your creator from the backseat, It's not just annoying, but it's also hogging up all the brain power the creator needs to be able to function. And so, in short, the creator and the editor cannot both be in control at the same time. Okay. So this gets us thinking, how can we shut up the editor if we know the creator can't work while the editor is screaming? And so to do this, I use a strategy I call draft zero. The point of draft zero is to create a private and intentionally messy phase that no one is allowed to see. Seriously, if it looks good, you're doing it wrong. Think of it like packing a backpack when you're running late for your flight. You don't have time to neatly fold up and organize all the clothes in your backpack. You just need to grab the essentials, shove them in, and get going. And so, to actually pull off draft zero, you have to trick your brain into lowering the stakes of failure. And here are 3 ways I do it. First, mess up your environment. If you usually work in a quiet and spotless room, try going out to a bustling cafe or an outdoor table at a park. There's actually an interesting study done by Dr. Kathleen Voss that backs this up. She found that people sitting in a messy room came up with significantly more creative uses for a ping pong ball than people sitting in neat rooms. And why is this? It's because visual and physical chaos tells our brains that it's okay to make mistakes. Second, use disposable tools. You know that paralyzing feeling when you buy a new notebook and then you're scared to write in it because you're scared you'll mess it up? Yeah, it sucks. Fancy things signal to your brain high stakes, and so that instantly wakes up the editor. The editor now is so obsessed with making every detail perfect that the creator has no room to flourish. So instead, use disposable tools. Write on a napkin or some scratch paper. Doodle on a whiteboard. Your brain knows these things are temporary. They'll eventually be erased or thrown away, and so it's okay to make mistakes. Finally, remember that brainstorming is a numbers game. We've seen this play out in history. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he finally found the right filament for his electric light bulb. He succeeded not because he had the best initial idea, but rather because he was willing to fail the most times. The same can be applied to you. Don't worry too much about getting the perfect idea. Just get them all down on paper first. There was always time to go back and elaborate on the ideas. And so, what does all this do? Basically, these 3 strategies, messy rooms, cheap tools, and high volume, are temporary hacks for your brain's safety settings. You're telling your brain that it's okay to make a mistake because this is just one temporary attempt out of many. It tricks the editor into thinking the work doesn't matter yet, and that's when the creator can finally find the gold. Think back to that red expo marker from earlier. In that moment, I looked so unput together. My palm was stained red, the whiteboard was full of scribbles, and my desk was all over the place. But for the first time, I wasn't performing. I was driving. We all think we're being good students when we take care of that blank page. But science actually shows that innovation requires us to get our hands messy. It requires us to shove items in our backpack without organizing them. It requires a draft zero. So here's my challenge for you today. Go home and ruin something. Whether it's scribbling in the margins of that new notebook you've been saving, or planning your next essay with a crayon, just ruin something. The breakthrough lies not in the calm, but in the storm. And so, you need to stop performing and start storming. Thank you.